What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm about to give y'all 10 tips on how to make your life easier as a softball photographer. And before we get into it, please make sure you subscribe to the channel down below. Also, make sure you hit the notification bell so you can be notified of future drops. And really, y'all, without further ado, we just gonna get right into it. I don't even want to make this no long, drawn out video, so we just gonna run through these top 10 for me real quick. Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and give y'all the disclaimer. I understand these tips may not be for everybody, and you don't have to do what I do. You feel me? Like, by all means, do whatever it is that makes you comfortable, but these are just 10 tips that come from me and how I make my life easier. It's just my way of doing it. But you know, different strokes for different folks. I get that. But yeah, let me just jump right in. So the first thing that I would say that came in handy for me in this most recent game that I shot is bringing a microfiber cloth. Now, for this particular softball game that I just shot, and if you didn't get a chance to check out that video, please make sure you check out that video. It is the one before this one. It's POV, softball photography, but I will say that game was super dusty. Now, that's not the field that I normally shoot at. That was Chaminade's home field, and for whatever reason, they play on real grass with real dirt, and I mean, they was just kicking dirt all over the place. Not to mention the sun was at its peak at 3 o'clock, and it just did not make for an ideal shooting situation. So one thing that came in handy for me was having a microfiber cloth. Without that microfiber cloth, I would not have made it. I would have had dirt specks in every shot, and it just would have been ridiculous. I would have had to do so much work in post trying to edit out dirt specks. If you get those dirt specks on your ND filter or your lens or whatever, it will show up in your shot. Also, not only just your lens and your filters, but your shutter as well. Be careful when you're switching lenses that sometimes dust can get inside your shutter. Now, I do have my Sony a7 IV set to where whenever I take a lens off the camera body, the shutter closes to prevent dirt and dust particles from getting inside. And that is a feature that you can turn on inside your camera. But sometimes dirt still finds a way to get in there, and it is so crucial to have a microfiber cloth, because you don't want to be digging in there with your fingernail and now you got a fingerprint on the shutter, and it's just, you don't want to have to deal with that. So bringing a microfiber cloth could definitely come in handy when shooting softball, for sure, especially on fields where it's just super dusty. Okay, now the second tool that might come in handy when shooting softball is bringing or using a monopod. Now, typically I only like to use a monopod when I'm shooting with 2 camera bodies. I'll have one on the monopod and one on my body. And the one on the monopod is really for like long distances, trying to get the outfielders, trying to shoot across the field, things like that. It just helps you stabilize the camera so you're not having to worry about trying to do that and shoot from behind the net or behind the cage or behind the bullpen or whatever it is. The monopod just makes everything so much easier. Now, for this particular game, I brought a monopod, but I did not use the monopod that I brought just because I was only shooting with 1 camera, and I decided to just shoot with that 1 camera body like on my person. I did not want to whip out my monopod and try to just shoot the whole game because I was doing a lot of walking and moving back and forth, and the monopod really would have just gotten in the way. Now, if I'm somewhere and I'm stationary for a little bit, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna put my camera on the monopod, and that's only if I have a second camera body that I'm shooting with. But for this particular game, like I said, I shot with 1, and so I decided to not use the monopod because you can't really get the same whip appeal with the camera on the monopod as you could if you're just shooting freehand without anything. But having a monopod sometimes can come in handy when you're shooting sports that last a long time, or you're going to be sitting in the same spot for a very long time. And plus, it takes a lot of weight and wear and tear off your arms, because eventually you're gonna get tired of holding your camera, and unless you do have it on a body strap or something like that, you're gonna want to put it down. But the monopod will take care of all of that. So that's the second thing. Okay, so the third thing I would suggest is presetting your camera settings before you get to the field or to the game. Having your camera already preset up to shoot does wonders, especially if you're running late for the game. That's one less thing you got to worry about, because you know your camera is already set up. You already know that the aspect ratio is set up. Really, the only thing you should have to do when you get to the location is calibrate your white balance, set your shutter speed, set your ISO, and just shoot. But you're gonna have to do those things regardless of where you go, no matter anywhere you are, because every environment has different light settings. So Those are the little small, little minute things that you have to adjust once you get there. But before you get there, make sure you have your aspect ratio set. Make sure you have your camera set as far as like what battery setup are you going to be using. Are you going to be using a dual battery grip? Are you going to be using no battery grip? You know what I mean? Just making sure all that stuff is set. Format your memory cards before you get there. Do all of that stuff before you get to the field. And that's really just going to save you a lot of time when it comes to just pulling your camera out and shooting the action. The fourth thing I would say is know the game that you're shooting. If you're shooting softball, baseball, basketball, football, whatever it is, but more particularly for the sake of this video, we're talking about softball. So if you're gonna shoot a softball or baseball game, make sure you know the game, because knowing the game is what's gonna get you those amazing shots. So the fact that I understand softball because I used to play myself when I was younger, I'm able to predict where I know an action shot is gonna come from. So for example, if there's a player that hit a single or whatever and they're on first base, right? And I know that they're gonna try to steal second, I'm gonna position myself behind first base, because chances are while they're trying to steal second, the pitcher is gonna try to throw them out at first. In which case, what are they gonna do? Slide back into first. So I know if I'm standing behind first, if I have my camera already set up in position to catch that slide, soon as they start sliding, all I'm doing is pulling the trigger, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna freeze that action in time and get some really dope shots. But I wouldn't be able to do any of that if I just did not understand the game of softball. So knowing the game that you're shooting is just super important if you want to be a softball photographer. All right, so the fifth thing I will say that'll make your life easier as a softball photographer is bring extra batteries and memory cards. So one thing about me, both of my camera bodies have a battery grip that holds 2 batteries. So if I'm shooting with one camera body, as I was in this last game, I was already equipped with 2 batteries inside the battery grip and 2 memory cards, because every Sony a7 IV has slots for 2 memory cards, which I keep a memory card in both slots just in case one memory card fills up. It can automatically start recording to the second memory card. And I also have that set up inside of my camera, so I don't even have to mess around with it inside the camera. I automatically know when one card gets full, it's gonna start saving on that second memory card. And again, those extra batteries and memory cards are gonna come in handy, because when I first shot a baseball game, I had no idea how long baseball games last. I'm out there thinking they're gonna play 9 innings because that's the way MLB baseball is played. Little did I know, they play 7 innings in high school. Didn't know that, learned that very quickly. But I'm glad they play 7 innings, because the first time I shot a game, I did not bring extra batteries outside of the 2 that were in my battery grip, and I almost didn't make it. So bringing those extra batteries are just gonna do wonders. You never want to run out of batteries before it's time to end the game, you know what I mean? Because you're not gonna capture as many shots as you want. So having those batteries and memory cards, for sure, that's gonna help you out a lot. All right, so number 6 might be a little controversial, but this is something that I like to do whenever I'm shooting. I like to clean as I go. And what I mean by that is, when I'm shooting, if I've captured, a sequence, a runner sliding into a base, and I done shot, in burst mode, like 20 photos capturing or trying to freeze this action, as soon as that play is over or whatever that is that I was trying to capture, I'm gonna go real quick inside my camera and look at those photos and mark the ones that I like, or the ones I call them money shots, because that's what I want to see at the end of the game. I don't want to see the blurry ones. I don't want to see the ones that are not in focus. I don't want to see any of that. I just want to see the money shots. So I go through those photos real quick, and it's okay if I miss the next play or what have you. You're not gonna make every single play during the game, and that's okay. Your goal is not to shoot every single play. Your goal is just to come away from the game with pictures that tell a story as to what happened throughout the entirety of the game. So for me, if I have to look away for a play or 2 or even 3, who cares? If I have to look away for a few seconds just to mark the ones that I just shot, that's what I'm gonna do. You feel me? And I'm gonna mark those, and then I'm gonna delete the rest. There's no need to keep the photos inside of my camera that I don't want. It just saves me time in post. I know how to use Photo Mechanic. I know a lot of photographers say, I'm gonna take all my 3,000 photos that I took and put them in Photo Mechanic. And that's great. But a person like me, I don't like to waste no time. So I clean as I go. As I'm shooting, I save the ones I like. I delete all the ones I don't like. So by the end of the game, instead of having 2,000 or 3,000 photos that I've taken, and now I gotta go through those and figure it out when I get home, I'm only going home with like 250, 300 photos max, and that's on the high end. On the lower end, I'm going home with like 100, 125 photos. And honestly, that's all you want. And that really saves me a lot of time in post. Whenever I'm trying to send a picture out or post a picture, it just makes it so much easier. A lot of times I could just pull my phone up and pull up the app for the Sony a7 IV and just go ahead and import whatever pictures on my camera right to my phone and just edit it on my phone real quick for a quick post if I'm still at the game or if it's halftime for a basketball game. But this is softball, so softball doesn't really have like that 7th inning stretch. At the end of the 7th inning, the game is over. So that's what I'm doing. I'm cleaning as I go, and that just cuts down how much time I have to spend in post trying to delete pictures I don't want. All right, number 7, real super important one. Use editing presets. Now, especially if you have deadlines. So what I do when I edit my photos, first of all, I edit my photos on my phone. Can you believe that? And I'm getting better with it. Like, a lot of people are so impressed by my editing and they feel like, oh my God, what program do you use? So I edit my photos in Photoshop on my phone. I don't really use a computer unless I'm just parlaying and I have all the time in the world. But for the most part, I'm editing these photos on my phone inside of Photoshop. And the way I'm able to do it so quickly is that I create a preset for a group of photos and I apply that preset to every photo that's shot the same way. So if I know the ISOs are relatively close, or I was in the same position on the field, where I know the sun was shining like just bright enough to where I had just enough light, that golden hour shot, I can really get some great edits and get these photos edited quickly. So if I'm already coming home with 250 photos, I'm able to edit at least 50 to 100 photos in 15 minutes because I'm using those presets. And I actually have a preset that I created saved in my phone. So whenever I shoot sports again, all I got to do is apply that preset. It's already done. We don't have to worry about it. And that's the way I'm able to get these photographs out and posted within 24 hours of the game ending. Okay, so now we're on number 8. I would say number 8, and these are in no order of importance. Number 8 for me would be always knowing where the ball is at, especially in softball and baseball, because you don't want to get hit by the ball, you don't want your gear getting hit by the ball, and you don't want your car getting hit by the ball. So one way you can avoid all of that is just always knowing where the ball is at, let alone the play. Sure, know what base the next play is on, but also keep your eye on the ball, because softball is one of those sports where you have to keep your head on a swivel if you don't want to get hurt. And for that reason, sometimes shooting softball can be a little irritating because you never really can catch a break. Even if you're walking between from first base to third base, you still got to keep your head on a swivel and just listen for people saying heads up or hits or whatever the case may be, because you do not want to get injured while you're out there shooting the game, because then you're really gonna miss your opportunity to get some great shots. All right, so number 9, shoot in burst mode, y'all. Don't shoot in single shot mode. Don't do that. You're never, ever gonna get those professional action shots, or you're not going to be able to freeze the action if you're just shooting one photo at a time. It don't work like that, y'all. You have to shoot in burst mode, and make sure that you're shooting in the highest form of burst mode that your camera allows. So I didn't really notice, but somebody pointed out to me that inside the Sony a7 IV, you can shoot in low burst, medium burst, high burst, but also there's a high plus burst. So if you didn't know that, please make sure that you're shooting these sports on high plus, and that's just an extra little advantage you have as a Sony a7 IV owner to freeze the action, and it helps out so much. And make sure you keep your target in focus, because if you can shoot on that burst mode with the target in focus, man, y'all seen my shots. Like y'all know I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, high plus burst mode. Thank me later. And number 10, this is one of the most important ones. I mean, they're all equally important, but I would say number 10 is just network. No matter where you're shooting, no matter for what team, no matter where you are, always make sure you're networking. Network with coaches, network with players. If you're shooting high school sports, network with the players' parents. Introduce yourself. Let them know who you are, what you're doing, where they can find the pictures or buy the pictures. Hell, if you got business cards, pass those out. If they got Instagram, exchange Instagrams. Let everybody know where to follow you, where they can see the pictures that are posted. And you just never know where your next referral might come from, or when the school might say, hey, we'd love to have you back and shoot another game, or whatever the case may be. You just never know. So always take every opportunity to network, which means you also have to carry yourself like a professional. Make sure that you're dressed appropriately. Make sure that you look appropriate. Make sure that your attitude is a friendly attitude and that you're approachable. and just network, man. That's really what it's all about, networking, because it's all about elevation at the end of the day, you feel me? And then as a bonus one, even though I said use presets, I'm gonna say this. If you don't have deadlines, especially if you're not getting paid, take your time during the editing process, because you don't want to rush and edit a photo because you want to be quick to put the photo out. Honestly, it's going to be worth the wait if you just take your time, edit the photo appropriately, and then put it out. You feel me? Because at the end of the day, your brand is on the line, your work is on the line, your name is on the line, and you don't want people to think you're inconsistent with your post. So take your time, edit the photos, make them look nice. If you feel like something's not right about the picture, maybe it might be a little too overexposed, just take a few extra seconds to fix it. It's no rush, man, especially if you don't have deadlines. Just take a few extra seconds to fix it until you get proficient enough to edit a lot faster and just edit and get your photos out like that. You know what I mean? So those are all the tips I have for y'all of how to make your life easier when you're shooting softball photography. I hope this video helped you out a lot. If it did, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and make sure you hit the notification bell so you can be notified of future drops. But as I like to say on all my videos, y'all, till next time, peace.